Hello, everybody. My name is Tom,
And I'm Andrew.
and this is Robots After All. And we're back. We're going to be talking about Tiny Tina's Wonderlands and probably go into the topic of sequels and stuff like that. Where do we begin here? Because I know I was pretty excited for this. It was like a new, like, we both loved the DLC for Borderlands 2,
Yep.
the Tiny
Assault on
Tina's
Dragon Keep.
Assault on Dragon Keep. And I was obsessed with that. It was like a new vision for the franchise. It was like, oh, you get like the grenades or like spells this, and the equipment's kind of fun, and you get a bunch of different weapons, and it was just a cool idea. And now obviously they've turned it into a full game. Was it the right idea? Was it not pushed far enough? These are questions we shall answer for you today, everybody.
I can't wait.
I can't wait.
Yeah. So first of all, I think it has not. It was not. It was an awesome idea. Like, when I first heard that Wonderlands, when I first saw the previews, I was like, okay, like, is this an add-on to Borderlands 3? Like, not sure if I'm super interested. Can't really tell what it is. And then when I realized it was basically an expansion on the idea of Assault on Dragon Keep, but a full game, I was totally sold. I was like, I'm in. That was like by far the best DLC in Borderlands 2. So I got really excited when I got into it. I just came off Elden Ring, which was, a fairly lengthy and kind of immersive experience. And I was kind of stoked that there was kind of two awesome back-to-back launches, around the same time. So dove in and immediately I was bored. Like, just right off the bat, the level design was like very like disjointed. All the characters that and love from Borderlands 2, you see them again and they're not funny, they're not in any kind of interesting setting. They feel like they're just kind of tacked on or like thrown in because you know who they are. Yeah, I mean, I could
All
probably
those seeing those characters again, like really turned me off. I just was not into seeing what's the blow up guy? Torg.
Brick. Oh, well, they're both demolitions people, but yeah.
Yeah, they're both like jacked, like weightlifter guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, Torg and Mr. Torg and Brick are just like, and even Claptrap. I was just like, this is like I don't even want to hear his voice anymore. And I was really excited for this game, and I kind of still enjoy it for the base level gameplay of like looter shooter type of vibe, just going around killing stuff, feeling like you're a superhero, which is one thing that also can be a downside because that game is very easy in general. But yeah, I think I agree with you. A lot of the themes of this like Borderlands universe are kind of tired, and even Tiny Tina. I think I'm just tired of these characters a little bit. I mean, there were moments where I booted it up and I was like, oh, there's some silly, funny moments, but sometimes it's just like it's a little too forced as well. And
yeah, the humor is very it's very tired at this point. Like, I feel like Handsome Jack and even Tiny Tina in small doses in Borderlands 2, right? Like, it was the first time you saw it, it worked, but when you start kind of hearing the same joke over and over and over again, and also it feels like they've really kind of pulled back on the kind of intensity of the jokes, or like, it seems like it's like a very like PG-13 or PG version of the jokes. Like,
yeah, get a teen rating this time instead of, I think, what was the original Borderlands? Was it mature?
Has to be mature, yeah.
Yeah, and this one they even say there's even Tiny Tina even has a line. It's like, oh, we can't say that this is a we're trying to keep that T rating, T for Tiny Tina or something stupid. But she even they make like commentary on it, which is kind of silly. And but yeah, it's definitely more dumbed down and more silly. And the first thing I was like excited was that the spoiler alert, if you haven't played the first hour of this game, where they kill off Butt Stallion. very like right towards the beginning. I was like, thank you. I'm so sick of hearing about Butt Stallion. It's not funny.
Yeah, and it's also, at least it was kind of in the vein of some of the older games, right? Like I feel like that what made Borderlands special was it had this kind of, hand drawn, kind of cell shaded art style that looked kind of cartoony, but the content was grim and like very gritty.
Right.
So if you miss that, then now all you have is this kind of kiddie art style with kiddie jokes, and you basically have a kiddie game. So but I think I'm just tired of the looter shooter genre. I'm tired of a lot of the grindy RPGs. Like at
Yep.
this point, like there's so many games out there that, and I have a massive, this whole shelf is filled with games.
Look at them games.
A lot of them are backlog. And I want like games to just be like genuine content. We did the last episode in the From Software series, and like they have figured out a way to it's very hard for it to get your hooks in you, but once it does, you want to see what's next. Every moment of the content is like, serving up something that's worth, either overcoming or experiencing or whatever. It's really interesting. And I feel like a lot of the games, not to segue out of Wonderland so soon, but like a lot of games nowadays, I feel like are just not giving you that level. It's like you can see the strings on the way that they're designing things, where it's just like, well, you have to play it again. Like if you want the good loot, you've got to, get all the dice, and you got to beat the game twice. And in Borderlands 2, what they did was like, oh well, the really good loot is saved for ultimate Vault Hunter mode, which you have to beat the regular game, then you got to beat True Vault Hunter mode, and then you have to. So now you're doing the campaign 3 times so that you can get to level 72. So you can then get level 72
Yeah.
legendaries.
It's like, at what point do you just stop and you're like, okay, I beat this game? The thing that sucks about that too is like if you have friends that you play with that are just like, well, Borderlands 2 more so, because in 3 they kind of even the playing field if you match up with people. But yeah, if you have somebody who's like out leveled you and has better gear than you, it's kind of defeats the purpose of like playing with somebody, because then they just like wipe the field in a lot of ways.
Well, and if they scale it, doesn't that kind of just like reveal reveal the man behind the curtain in a way with the game? Like it takes you out of the experience when you start to I really like progression, in games. I like to feel like what I'm doing is actually building something, so that by the time you get to the end of it, you're like proud of the character that you have, and like in Skyrim, all like the million, dragon bones that you hoarded because you decided to collect those, or ebony ingots or whatever, like rare material that you're like, oh, I gotta grab as many of these as I can. You feel it's like fun, right? You set little goals for yourself, and you at the end of the game, like you've built up this character. But I feel like in these games, like the Borderlands game specifically, it's got this kind of like, and that's maybe I'm reading too much into this, but it kind of has like almost like a cultural commentary, where it's just like it's all about waste. It's like, oh, you got this legendary, well, it's only level 8, and like it's going to be useless to you in like a few levels, so just throw that away.
I know. It's like the excitement of getting a legendary is like defeated by the fact that it needs to be replaced in a few levels. And
Right.
like that can just be replaced by a green, which it's like, yeah, I mean, that's the game. I mean, the game mechanic is like you're constantly getting loot, but it's also very tired at this point. And now, like with Tiny Tina's, they're changing it up, but they're changing it up in like where a way that's like, I don't want to learn it. It's like I don't want to learn
You also
about like
you don't get any loot in this game. There's not any, like the drops are like seemingly very, very hard to get, and like I'm struggling. I haven't finished the game, but it's like I'm struggling to get gear that I'm excited to use without having to go way, way out of my way and just get lucky.
Yeah, I've gotten a couple legendary weapons. The first one I got is a shotgun, the crossblade one, and it shoots like a cross X. It's pretty good. And the other one I got from a boss, and it was just like a bad, it wasn't that good. It was like an SMG. But just I just feel like they didn't like the inventory system is a mess with like the new like the rings and the amulets.
Yes.
It's just like I find it very
Not easy
confusing.
Yeah, it's not easy to like know what you're looking at.
Yeah, because you pick up an item and even like the weapons, they don't say what it is. It's like you have to memorize I mean, like the shotgun and like the assault rifle, the icons look very much the same. And it's kind of hard to differentiate it sometimes. So it's not very like visually appealing because you're looking because it doesn't say this is a shotgun, this is an assault rifle. There's just pictures and then the brand. There's nowhere where it says anything about a shotgun. You just have to memorize each item. And so, okay, so that's a spell. Like all the spells are confusing. Like sometimes I'll look at a loot, like an item on the ground, and it's like, oh, that's a spell. That's not like this other thing. It's a little messy, and everything gets kind of like blurred.
Garbled.
Yeah,
Yeah.
garbled together, and you're like, ugh, come on, get out of here.
Well, and it's much harder to like manage your inventory. Like I think they've made an update since, but like when it first launched, like you would like select an item to go into your one of the slots, and then you'd be like, oh, just kidding, I actually want to see if there's something else. And you'd hit B, and instead of being back in your inventory on the right hand
Yep.
side, you'd be on the left hand side with the guns, and it's like I don't care about that. Like I'm trying to look at what I have over here. And then the other
Yep.
thing that was really annoying to me was I like to spam Y to just drop a bunch of crap I don't want. Like I
Okay.
don't need to sell it. You get so much money anyway that like you don't need to wait to get to a vending machine to dump your
Right.
some of like the white and green gear. I just throw it on the ground. And you have to hold Y to select each one. It's like I have 40 of these things. Like I don't want to hold Y for each one. Like drop this one and drop that one, and then oh, drop this one. Oh, drop that one. It's like I want to just like smash Y and just like drop a bunch of items at once.
Yeah, it's very frustrating, and even like comparing loot. Like if I'll have like a near full inventory backpack and just kind of going through them is very tedious. So like, do I need to save that? Like, I don't know if like it's just
Yeah,
I'm over it. And I
yeah.
don't know.
Too much comparison of stats. I think we talked about this on the From Software episode, but like, yeah, it's like I don't want to sit there and be like, well, the damage is this high, but you know, the rate of fire is here, and you know, it's
And I know
not
that
fun.
like this it may seem like nitpicking, but this is like a game that has been around for a while and has barely changed those type of mechanics and stuff. So it's kind of like Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is almost like going backwards in being like a user friendly experience because
Yeah.
the previous game I feel like was much more pleasant to there were less items. You didn't have like this whole inventory of stuff, and it's just even like the font I find very hard to read, and the design
Yeah.
of like the UI is like awful. Like they
It's
tried to make it like medieval RPG tabletop
just noisy.
crap,
It's just way too noisy.
super noisy, and I'm just like unhappy. But they made money, so can I have some of it?
I don't believe that you can.
The goblins are
You know, as
fun.
we're having this conversation, I'm realizing something. I think that there's a new market that's going to emerge for, you know, old men like us yelling at clouds. Um, where it's like, I think if I was 15 or 16, I was playing that game for the first time, right? Like maybe that would be exciting because you haven't like we've literally been playing video games for like 30 years at this point. So it's like, you know, there's some stuff that I just feel like I'm sick and tired of it. It's like I'm not willing to put the work in. I want video games to just be fun. And the equation for fun certainly requires that there's some amount of, you know, adversity to overcome to then kind of feel accomplished. But I don't want a part-time job looking through my gear and weapons like it's a set of emails at work um to, you know, to try to find the, you know, and you have all this like fear of losing the gear that is going to be um the one you actually need to be using, so you just get like overwhelmed and just kind of like either hoard stuff and then you end up with a full inventory. So it's this is not a good system. Like they need to make games in general nowadays, I think, need to make gear more special. Like it needs to be something where
Yeah.
like I think that what I think I had mentioned this before. I'm not sure if we talked about this privately or not, but I would love an idea where you find something and then you're able, like let's say you had like white and green weapons, right? And then you find a legendary, and then you were able to basically consume the white and greens into the legendary to level it up. So
That's
that as
true.
you found white and green weapons, you would be excited for the bullshit that you're getting, instead of being like, oh, it's just white or green, so either leave it on the ground or it just clogs your inventory. Here you'd be like, oh sweet, I actually need more of these, because maybe you have like a quota for each color or whatever to like then level the legendary up. Like you need 2 purples and you need like 10 whites and you need 6 greens or something like that, and it's like, oh, I only have 3 greens, I need 3 more. Like um
Yeah.
something that's simple and like very easy to understand and quick, with like very clear UI. When you pull up the menu, it's just like bars for the different like weapons that are required. And obviously I'm going way too deep into this, but
But no,
just
that'd be a G. I mean, they kind of did that in the prequel. Remember they had that machine where you could
yeah, the
throw shit,
grinder.
but it was just like it gave you a random weapon, right?
Well, how it worked, that was, I actually, if they put that in every Borderlands game, I'd be happy. That would solve the issue enough for me, because even though it's not the idea that I'm talking about, like it's still good enough, because it still kind of, it satisfies their need to have a random generation of a gun, as well as gives us, the player base, the ability to basically level up, or to at least get like a more accurate level. You can't level up an existing gun, but what you can do is you would take like 2 purples. I'm gonna mess this up because I don't remember the exact details, but like you'd have to take like 2 purples or 3 purples to get 1 legendary, and you would just have the same gun type. So you put 3 purple pistols in, and you would get 1 legendary pistol back. But the legendary pistol would be a random drop. It would still be a roll.
Right. Yeah, that system would be great. And the system you mentioned, just being able to do that all through your inventory. Like just like there's a game like that that does that. Isn't like, well, no. Well, I think if were able to do that just all enclosed within your options menu, your inventory, just be like, okay, I'm gonna take this, and then like you open up like this portal that has like a portable blacksmith table or something, whatever, and then you can just do what you said, just combine that to level up a gear you want to hold on to. So if you get that legendary, you never have to get that legendary again. You can just level it up as you go, as long as you have that stuff, and you're getting weapons all the time. Then then you'd be able to do that more often. It's either that or they need to change this whole like loot-tacular experience and just make what, like you said, make it weapons more rare in general, and
Yeah,
that would
but
make
not
it more
impossible.
interesting.
Not impossible to get.
Right.
Another cool idea that I have is you start the game with a shotgun, sniper rifle, pistol, assault rifle, SMG slot, right? And
Sure.
like you have basically a core gun. And instead of new guns dropping, what drops is the pieces to the gun. So you get a new barrel for an SMG and it happens to shoot rockets, or you get a new grip for a pistol and it has like it hits like a truck. So you would just basically have these kind of categories of guns that you have anyway, and then you basically could just add to, and that the only thing about that is it wouldn't allow you to have multiple. I mean, we could kind of solve that as well, but because you could find new cores or something like that and like build multiple guns with multiple styles. But I think that would be a really cool idea that I've seen it done like a little bit. Like Fallout 4 had a little bit
Like
of
a
that idea.
customization thing.
It was customization, but this would be like a core mechanic that would like make variety interesting, where you'd want to pick up all the stuff to be like, oh, I want to actually try all this stuff and see what it does. And then you can instantly make the decision, like, do I want this barrel? Do I want this, hair trigger or whatever like the pieces are, scope. It was especially the scope, because that's like something that really drives me nuts in Borderlands. Like I remember going after all of the infinity pistols in Borderlands 2, and it was so hard to get Doc Mercy to actually drop them. So to try to get one in each element with the right scope,
Oh, right.
it was brutal, because it's like, and I was also trying to get like the Vladoff grip, because that had a higher rate of fire, so obviously it would do more damage over time. So try to get all those things right, it was just impossible. Like it was a farm that would literally take weeks, months, years. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that would be nice, as long as it didn't add more like inventory you had to collect and it was just a thing you could do on the fly. I would like that.
Well, I think that the key with all this is Sparsity, sparsity,
Yeah,
varsity, varsity blues. Final answer. Just
incorrect.
not having it be overwhelming. Like it's not the loot explosion thing. Like it only is exciting if you're constantly getting exciting stuff. But when a loot explosion happens and it's all this stuff, and like
You hear
it's
that legendary ting, ting.
yeah, that's great. But like when it's only like a bunch of money and some greens and maybe like one blue, and that blue happens to be like a skin or like or yeah, you see a legendary and it's like, oh, it's a class mod for someone that I don't even have. Cool.
Yeah,
It's not exciting, so they need to figure out a way to make it more exciting. And I think that the other thing that Wonderlands just really got wrong for me personally was I love the stories in Borderlands games, and I love the it's kind of a combination of open world and linear progression. But it's like this is happening, and now you have to go over here. You have to traverse this open world map to get there. And the overworld thing kind of felt appropriate for like the Dungeons and Dragons that are more bunkers and badasses setting, but it felt lazy from a developer perspective because now they're just like, well, we just have this overworld. You walk around and then you just like go into a cave and you're like, what is that, a cave?
yeah, because it's like there's not much. It's not exciting. It's not fun to go in the overworld because what are you getting out of it other than traversal and like random encounters? It's like they were trying to do all these things that were like, oh, this is like a thing from Pokemon that people like. Oh, this is like, oh, we can make secret pathways that we don't give a shit about. It's like,
yeah, it lost its own identity in that way because
it's trying to be cute and like this is the thing that's like makes it look like a board game.
and the shrine pieces don't even get me started. Well, actually, get me started on those.
I don't even like know what those like what the purpose of those are. And in fact, I think I'm gonna delete my game tonight.
Funny because when it first came out, I like immediately hated it. And you're like, no, it's actually pretty fun.
Actually, I enjoyed it, and then I'm like, yeah, it just got very stale very quick to me. And I still am probably gonna beat it and get my money out of it and just but I've been like streamlining it more than any other Borderlands. Like side quests, go to hell. Don't give a crap. I did a few of them and I'm like, one of them was Claptrap, and I'm like, no, this is too much. I can't deal with it.
Yeah.
And in terms of like story, that's another thing I'm noticing is this like there's nothing there, and they're trying to do like this like lonely tiny Tina thing. Like she's like doesn't wants friends, and she doesn't like there's been a couple times where she's mentioned like I don't want you guys to leave. It's like, am I doing a bad job? I'm like, cringe monster over here. It just was not good.
I feel like like I said, I think that the demographic that they're going for is just kind of different. Like the Calypso twins, I think was the enemy in Borderlands 3. Like they felt like they were kind of aimed at
Social media influencer types.
And it was like kind of tongue in cheek. Like it almost worked. It was like very close to working. I didn't feel like as cringy as like some of the reviews that I saw on it. Like people were like outraged that they were like terrible and like nothing.
Yeah, it didn't bother me. I kind of liked their character.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't bad. But it wasn't Handsome Jack. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Like it just wasn't as good as Handsome Jack.
Yeah.
Will Arnett in this game feels like he's kind of phoning it in, if I'm being honest. Like every time his like voice comes on when I'm playing, I'm like, oh, it's Will Arnett it's BoJack Horseman, but he's got a Dr. Doom face.
Well, he has the same voice for like everything. It's kind of like where we were talking about Mark Hamill. It's Mark Hamill when he's acting, and I feel like Will Arnett does a few voices because there are a couple other people that sound similar.
Yeah, you can. I mean, the one thing I will say, because I'm not gonna. A, voice acting is very hard. B, Will Arnett has such a distinct voice that it'd be very hard for him to disguise it. It's kind of like,
and he's awesome. We're not dissing the man.
Oh, yeah. He's one of the greats, like one of the best ever. But I feel like the way that it was way the game direction happened, I don't think that he was able, like, it doesn't feel connected. Like what he's saying doesn't feel connected with the game, or like the way that it was written doesn't feel like it's really kind of utilizing his voice as best it could. But maybe it's not fair to say he's phoning it in. It's more just that like it doesn't feel impactful. Like I'm not excited. Whereas I thought I was like, when I first found out that he was the villain, I was so excited because I love Will Arnett. I love pretty much everything the guy's done. But yeah, just doesn't.
Yeah, a lot of times it's just like it's washed out by everything that's going on, and I don't even like pay attention to what he's saying. And yeah, it just kind of goes over my head a little bit, a lot of the dialogue, and even like the two side characters dialogue is a little annoying. Um, that being said, Borderlands 3 also pretty annoying, a lot of it, but I don't know. It still like felt like it was better, like better written at least.
I had fun with Borderlands 3. I actually played it quite a bit. But
Yeah.
when I finally was done with it, I would say that I didn't really like the game that much, but I
Mhm.
enjoyed playing it, if that makes sense. Like critically, looking back at it, I don't really enjoy that game,
Yeah.
but it's for a multitude of reasons. It's more about like,
And we never even played it together.
I know we didn't, which is crazy. And I got a PS4 save so that we could play together, and I leveled the character up all the way so that we could play together, and never
We
did.
still can.
Yeah, we could. I mean, now we have crossplay, so we can just do whatever. But
Oh.
anyway, yeah, I think Gearbox in general, like they're just one of those companies that it's like we know what the fans want, and like they're just kind of like, you know, forcing this kind of narrative of how they think a game should be, and like for it, maybe it works for a lot of people, but like it doesn't work for me. I don't love all the nerfing that happens. I don't love all of the just like the fact that to be signed in to like the server will go down and you're like constantly have connection issues and stuff, and it's just like I just want to play this game single player right now. Like why do I have to like give you my information to like play this game? It's like that I've already purchased. It's crazy.
Shift codes.
Yeah.
I don't know, all that stuff is kind of neat, but it's also just like extra ad like fluff that isn't 100% necessary. Especially when you get gold keys with a shift key and then you open the thing and you get like all purple trash. And you're just like, oh, cool. Can I get at least one legendary for a real world code that I have to put in?
Yeah, and I don't think that they actually, if I remember correctly, the boxes actually will never drop a legendary. It's like
Oh, is
impossible.
that so?
Yeah, I think so. I think I remember that from Borderlands too.
Yeah, I can't remember if I've ever gotten one or not. Another thing I thought was funny is that there's no vehicles in this game. It's just traversal, which I actually don't mind. It's like there's like little one-off areas and you just explore them. There aren't any vehicles.
Yeah, can we talk about that for a second? There's a fucking dragon on the cover. Like, how cool would it have been if there
Would
was
have
an
been cool.
actual open world that you could traverse by getting on a dragon and like killing people in a field with like fire breathing? Like that was a waste. That was a missed opportunity.
That
I
they
just
should have done that.
yeah,
Erase the whole overworld thing they're doing and just make it like, yeah, make it like
make it
all.
like a Borderlands game.
Maybe there is a dragon at some point, but you probably can't ride it.
No, and there's not, and I wouldn't want to do it in the overworld anyway because it's like limited controls
You're
and
like, doo, 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 doo.
yeah. The first time I saw it, I was like, oh, this is kind of like kitschy and like cool. And then about like a half hour into playing the game, I was like, I hate the overworld
I
and I
hate
hate
this place.
some
Nothing
places.
works here.
So anyway, yeah, I just think that I think we talked a little bit about Elden Ring, which I certainly had some issues with as well, but like I just feel like we're moving into a phase with games where the focus is about making money. The focus is about reaching like a significantly wider audience than they've ever had to reach before. And they're starting to do the same thing that movies do. Like movies are not generally interesting, because or like allowed to be artistic or allowed to be, thought provoking. Because like the average person doesn't want that. So it's like if those ideas are in there, they're kind of usually peppered in, like they're kind of in between the cracks where like, someone who picks up on it would be able to appreciate it, but the average person is just going to kind of gloss over. And I think it's happening in games too, where it's just you know, how do we get the most money out of, oh, we just do microtransactions in all of our games. You know, how do we kind of appeal to a wider audience? Oh, well, we'll dumb all the jokes down to be like, you know, more inclusive. And it's like, it's just, I don't know. It's like we were talking about this earlier today, separately, but it's like it used to be a gaming community that had like a specific set of kind of wants from a game, and now it's just like it's so the gaming has become so popular that like that vision just there's not a very many games that are really doing that. And that's, again, you know, not to continue to sing the praises of From Software, but it's like why those games get it right, because it's like it's for the gaming community, it's for people, you know, it's the old school, you know, it's like Vaxanadu or Vaxanadu or whatever from the very first Nintendo Entertainment System.
Yeah.
You know, you're thrown in and you're like, what the hell? Or even Castlevania, even like a more mainstream one where you're thrown in and you're like,
Well,
what the hell do
Legend
I
of
do?
Zelda, the
Legend of Zelda, yeah, very
you're
first Legend
thrown
of
in a
Zelda.
world and you have no idea what the hell you're supposed to do. You're just
Yeah.
walking around getting killed by Goombas. No, that's Mario Brothers. Just
Octoroks, I think.
Octorocks and yeah,
Yeah.
whatever else is in the game. Ganondorfs.
Yeah.
That's another thing that the gameplay is just boring. Like I was playing with my brother on Monday, and it's just an onslaught of enemies. You're just mowing them down, and I'm just like, cool. This is fun, I guess. And then you get paused by like some guy who wants to talk to you, a story point, and that's boring. And then you just go back to mowing down enemies.
Yeah.
And the first couple of bosses were at least like the interesting, interesting fights. Like they changed up the fight mechanics a bit, so it's a little more creative. Like I like the first boss. Have you gone to the first boss? The first actual like boss, and
Yeah.
it's like a witch like with the
Yeah.
screaming powers or something.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool that she sends like waves. You have to kind of jump over and duck.
Yeah. I mean, they
But
did
then,
that in the end boss of Borderlands 3 too,
oh yeah,
where she throws the things out and you have to like jump as they're like spinning or whatever. But
yeah, that was kind of cool. But yeah, just the gameplay overall is just it's not engaging. It's very mindless. Whereas you could take a game like I've been playing Bloodborne, where it's very strategic, and each enemy you have to prepare yourself. Is there going to be another enemy around the corner, or is there more than one enemy? More than likely there isn't.
Shortcut.
There is more than one. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just, and it's more engaging in that sense because it's not like this mindless like um tower defense game where you're just taking out like an onslaught and you're the tower just kind of defending yourself from it like an onslaught of enemies. So
I completely agree. And I mean, as we talked about last time, Bloodborne is one of the greatest games ever made. I actually just rolled credits on a game that I've talked to you about many times that I really, really want you to play. And it's American Mcgee's Alice the Madness Returns.
yes, I actually have that downloaded on my Xbox.
So that game, every time I play it, it blows me away how good it is. It kind of has, you know, and this was obviously before Nier Automata or whatever, but like, you know how Nier has like such a variety of gameplay. It's like there's like old school shooter style, and then like so this game's kind of like that too. Like you're playing in a 3D world. There's tons of like platforming and puzzle solving, and then you suddenly just go into like a 2D thing where you have to like
Oh
do
really?
a Marble Madness thing, or like you have to do like a 2D platforming, and then there's like the old, you know, the old slide puzzles where you had like the 9 tiles and you had to try to make the image like complete. You have to complete those to like move into the next room. You know, or you have to actually go find the blocks in the 3D world
Oh
to
really?
then do the 2D puzzle, which is kind of cool that it's like, oh, you see it on the ground, you're like, oh, I got to go get the blocks to actually be able to do this puzzle, and then you have to actually solve the puzzle to actually move on. Chris Vrenna from Nine Inch Nails did the music for it too, so that certainly helps the cause. The art direction is amazing, the music's amazing, the gameplay and the you know, art design is just incredible. It's just a perfect game. But it reminded me that that's like what I want out of a game. I want something that they thought outside the box. They mix some, Zelda elements and some kind of, Dark Souls or Zelda style combat. And then said, how do we break this up? How do we make it interesting? How do we keep the player's attention? And through all those like side scrolling moments and puzzle solving things in there that just really keep it going. So
I have played that a little bit. I remember playing it a little bit, but I definitely want to go back to that. That could be, that's probably due for like a remaster. That'd be awesome, or a remake.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Yeah.
What was I gonna say? What was I gonna say? I had something I was gonna say. Tiny Tina's like, where do they go from here? I think is what I was gonna get into. Is like, do they wipe the slate clean with Tiny Tina like after this and like create a whole new cast of characters, get rid of everybody, change up the gameplay, change it? Like, I don't know. It's like they just keep going down the same path because they can't like, I don't know. I guess, I mean, they could just keep doing this very similar thing, or they could just change it up altogether, make it a little more challenging, make it, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not, I'll say that I'm not really excited for a Borderlands 4.
Right.
It's similar to the Bethesda games. Like, I don't need another Fallout game. I don't need another Skyrim game, or Elder Scrolls game rather.
They definitely need to do something to make it more user friendly in terms of inventory. I would love just like, you don't need vending machines. Just sell everything from your inventory. Like, just remove that from the equation. Just make it, like you said, just start with all your weapons unlocked. Why do we need to get to level 20 to get all of our inventory and like crap? It's like, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of stuff they could do to make it more engaging and just like get to the root of the game, which is the gameplay and enjoying the gameplay. And like,
they want to drive up the hours, the consecutive player base, whatever that metric is, right? Where it's like, oh, concurrent player base.
Oh yeah. So they keep having all these like little free DLCs and free helmets you can get.
They artificially lengthen the game by being like, well, in the first playthrough you can't get, it's like the way that they withhold the levels. And it's like, the game comes out. That's another thing too, where it's like, I just feel like a dog on a leash, or like a being strung along with like a carrot on a stick kind of thing, where it's like, when the game drops, there's only 20 levels. And then it's like, oh, we upped it to 40.
Yeah.
It's like, I know you're going to 80. I know you're going to 72. I know you're going somewhere in that vicinity. Like, just give it to me all at once. Like, I just want games complete. I don't want like, DLC used to be exciting. And now it's like, I actually like kind of loathe waiting for it, because it's like, is this going to break the game? Is this going to completely ruin all the progress that I did in the main game and all the time I spent, because it's going to break the ceiling and then you have to redo everything again. Like, I remember in Borderlands 2, there was something called the 94% sham, I think it was, the sham shield, which absorbed the bullets and turned it into ammo.
Oh yeah.
So 94% was like the most like perfect combination of components, and it was just like the dumbest drop rate. It was like 0.0001% or something like that. So if you got one, which I did get one, by the way, because I was such a crazy person, that's like insane, right? And then it's like, oh well, now we have they released the destruct peak, where you can do the OP levels, and I was like, I'm not doing the overpower levels because I'm just saying at level 72. Like,
yeah, the overpowered crap. Yeah, that was okay.
I did go back and do that, and then I refarmed some gear, but I actually did it on a separate save. But anyway, neither here nor there. It's just like this constant, like, it's not more like when you can, again, this is what I was talking about before, about like, there needs to be games made for us old folk who like are wise enough to see the future before it happens, where it's like, I know that you're going to release this stuff, so like, it's not exciting to me because I know exactly what's going to happen.
Right.
Literally is like the antithesis of being exciting, when you can literally just predict an entire roadmap for a game. So they need to just like start creating G for geriatric game ratings. And you can guarantee that everything comes in the box, and it comes with a little packet of Pedialyte for us.
Hell yeah.
But I want the game to be complete. I'm so tired of like these incomplete games and these like carrot on the stick tactics where it's like,
right,
in 3 months we'll release 10 more levels. Isn't that and a new skill tree? It's like that. You should have done it from the get-go. I don't care.
Like, how do we get the user to play this game as long as possible and get the most out
that's
of
what it's about. It's about that statistic of concurrent user base.
Yeah.
And you want that, make a game like Overwatch, where it just like people just keep playing it and keep playing it and keep playing it, or World of Warcraft or whatever.
Right.
So anyway, yeah, it's become a business. Well, it's always been a business. Obviously, everything's about products and trying to make as much money as you possibly can. But I do think that there are gems. There are things like The Witcher 3 that were like a game for a game's sake. The developers, I know that CD Projekt Red got a lot of heat for Cyberpunk, but like in their heyday of Witcher 3, I mean, it was just like everything that a developer in a game studio should be doing, for the gamer community.
Yeah, I guess that game's gotten a lot better now, Cyberpunk, with the updates that came out.
I'll have to check out.
I'll check it out. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so that's where we're at. Everything's terrible, and we shouldn't play games anymore.
Should just play From Software games apparently, and
play From Software
and Hideo Kojima games, whatever he's up to. People seem to love him. I haven't played Death Stranding, but I've heard high praise for it.
I didn't finish it, but I loved it, and I really think it was brilliant. I mean, it was exactly what we're talking about, where it's like, think outside the box, like don't just like, and there was some questionable things. I feel, what's funny is it seems like in these games that are very that have this kind of level of depth that we're looking for some reason there's always like a need to have items that have excrement involved, because in the in the From Software games, like you find like dung pies and dung piles and gold strewn excrement and stuff, and then in
they love poo,
and then in Death Stranding you make like pee and like poop grenades.
Hey, so, gotta be resourceful. That's what I was gonna just thought of what I was gonna mention was It Takes Two. Have you played that at all? Because that's a game that thinks way out the box. If you can play that, that's a lot of fun. It's a blast.
Yeah, it's still in the wrapper, but we need to play it soon.
Yeah, you guys would love it. It's a lot of fun, man. I'm telling you. And it's not like I don't know. It's just really engaging. It's like a game for anybody because it's challenging in some regard, but it's also just like a fun experience that I've never experienced. It's like the most fun I've had in a co-op game ever.
Okay. Well, but then again, you haven't played Portal 2 co-op, which I also think was masterfully done. So
yeah, Portal I've never really played that much at all. I've played a little bit, but
that's a must play. That's one you should put on your bucket list or your
no.
Please do it for me. Do it for the fans.
No. I gotta go.
So yeah, I think that's probably it for Wonderlands.
Yep. I guess that's the consensus. We're not that excited for this next one unless they really knock it out of the field, if you know what I mean, the baseball reference.
Yeah. That's on the
you gotta do a lot
with these things, right? Yeah.
Goalposts. I like the siren in Borderlands 3 a lot. I think that was my favorite character. Just as a side note.
I
thought she was badass, even though she was kind of snobby.
I used the Irish assassin guy for a while, and then I did a flak. Flak save.
Yeah, flak was my main, and then when I started playing the siren, I just loved her. She was so fun. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. Who knows what they'll do next? Maybe it'll be bad. Who knows? Maybe we'll play it.
Batterlands, Blunderlands,
Bloodborne lands.
One last thing.
I got to the beast guy in Bloodborne.
Wait. One last thing I will say. Before we go off Wonderlands. what is up with the melee weapons? That's another missed opportunity. Like they're so terrible. They're the same thing as any other melee weapon. And
Yeah, at least like make the speed different. They're all like the same attack speed. It's like give me a break.
yeah, it's
Or
horrible.
like have like a finishing move.
Yeah.
You had there are a lot of missed opportunities. The dragon thing, dragon mounts, making like different abilities. And the guns aren't even that different.
Oh,
You have like the shotguns. I'm mad now.
where's all this energy coming from?
Oh, shotguns. The
Like
guns
100
are like
o'clock
the
over
same
here.
type
So.
of gun. You have the only one that I've noticed so far is the shotgun that's like an actual different looking weapon. And it's got the pixie dust and the fuck them.
Yeah,
About,
not great.
about censoring that.
4
We're
out
gonna
of 10.
swear a lot more in the coming days of this podcast.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna become about.
I can say bad words.
I think so.
Only towards the end though. That way YouTube doesn't
Wait.
find out the truth.
Yeah, I think as long as you don't swear in the first like 60 seconds or whatever, you're in the clear.
Yeah, I think I've heard that as well. But
They will
yeah,
email
the weapon design is like, I guess some like they're not. It's just not cool.
No,
The
it's not
shotgun
great.
is the only one I've noticed that's very different. Anyway,
Yeah, 4 out of 10. Next.
I'll give it a 6 out of 20.
Whoa,
Oh, gotcha.
terrible ratio.
Tricked him. Oh, so on a side note, I know we're probably need to wrap up, but the beat I got to the
Blood
no, I
starved
can't.
beast.
What is it?
Blood starved beast.
Well, thank you, BSB for short. Which I
And-
noticed people on Reddit call them BSB because those are the cool kids.
Wow, that's way too cool for my blood born.
Yeah, blood starved beast. Beast starved blood? Beast blood. So anyway, I got to him and I died. And I even had the guy helping me.
Oh, don't have the guy help you. That's actually
No, I like him. He's cool.
he is cool.
That
but
guy is cool.
It makes the boss actually harder.
Does he?
Yeah, because he has like either he has more health or he has like a damage reduction from your attacks or something. It makes it
Oh,
harder.
really? That's interesting. They see that's like kind of sneaky. They sneak that in there. Like they know if you're going to use like a summon or something, so they make
Yeah.
it harder.
Yep.
Those mofros, if you know what I'm saying.
It's actually interesting because I think in a lot of the other games it actually is easier to play co-op, but in that particular game, it can make it harder because of that little detail. But I guess that's probably only true for really early game anyway. That's a pretty early game boss. So
Yeah,
that's actually that's what I just beat when I was playing it. I beat that and I went on to the next boss after that.
oh, cool. Is that where you left off?
Yeah, I haven't picked it up since the first day that I played it.
So you beat that boss, and now you need to beat the next guy. That's where you're at.
Yeah, so I got through the next area, unlocked everything, got to the next boss, and then I fought it once and then didn't.
You didn't beat him?
No.
Oh,
I got hit once and died. I was like, oh, I need to start level because I'm not like leveling at all. I'm literally.
Oh,
just
really?
Just like,
Yeah.
I mean, I am leveling, but I'm not.
No, I get it.
Levels or trying to like actively level. So
It's funny, like you would think that farming would suck in that game, but it's very rewarding and actually kind of fun because it also gets you better at the game. So I actually like enjoy just having gameplay sessions where all I'm doing is farming, and then I stop playing and I'm just kind of like, okay, I leveled up a bit, and now I can next time I play, I'll be ready for some boss time, if you know what I'm saying.
yeah, it is. They said this about Elden Ring too, but it's like the way that they design the whole like dying mechanic is kind of rewarding because sometimes like when you die, I mean, even like in Elden Ring specifically, like I would die sometimes and be like, oh, actually I have golden seeds, so I need to go and level up my flasks or you know, I need to be at a site of grace anyway. And Bloodborne's kind of like that too, where it has like moments where you're like, oh, that's fine, like I'll just refarm the same area and go get my souls and then double up what I, you know, where Blood Echoes, double up what I was going to get anyway. But
yeah, I think I just level 33.
Nice.
And I'm
a
a
higher level than I am.
blood-starved beast.
Watch out for the poison that he spews. You got to get antidotes.
Yeah, I got a lot of those after the first fight. I was like, well, he poisoned me, and I think that's actually how I died. Yeah, poison killed me.
Secret, when you get into the arena, if you go all the way to the back of the room, and go around back of the little stone that's in the back of the room. There's 3 antidotes in that room.
Oh, okay, that's good to know. Yeah, he will die. Not sure if I'll do it tonight, but soon. I'm taking my I'm still at like a phase where I'm not intensely gaming. So
Yeah,
other stuff going on. You know how it is.
I know exactly how it is. I haven't really been gaming either.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that wraps it up.
Yep. Stay tuned until next time where we think of a thing to talk about on the fly. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good evening.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.